Hey there, and welcome back to yet another episode with me, the Village Idiot, in Village Idiot Astrology. I am so pleased, proud, godzooked, and amazed to announce that at this point, I have, I would say, more followers than Jesus, which is exciting for any person that screams absolutely nothing to the world. Me yelling naked through the streets, screaming obscenities. You like me? You really like me? No, I'm kidding. I don't want you to run away. Please don't run. I'm just going to continue doing what I was doing and screaming obscenities because that's the real reason why you're here. You're hoping that some of these obscenities hit home. So today I'm going to go along with you and that idea. And today we're going to review the charts of Millie Bobby Brown and Jake Bongiovi. Excuse me. Now, if you live under a rock, you don't know that Millicent Bobby Brown, Stranger Things star, British, is now married to New Jersey Nepo royalty. Deep breaths, deep breaths. Because if you're from New Jersey, like, oh my God, like, yo, that's the print, like, that's the Dauphin. That's the Dauphin. Like, are you aware that there is a rest stop named with this last name? Like, I once like pit. I once got my period in the Bongiovi rest stop on the Garden State Parkway. Okay, so this is my royal family. We would just go ahead and take a look behind the veil of these two because, to be honest, what do we know about bro? It's funny. I'm pretty sure, like a week ago, I did a video about who's the soccer star? Oh, Victor Beckham's and the Beckham son. And it's like a Nepo baby who's tried everything that like didn't quite take off. Well, like this is like the next level because who knew? Who knew about this? You know what I mean? Some high school in New Jersey was hiding this kid until he was ripe. Until he was ripe. And then she got plucked off the planet by 11. So that feels right. All right. So I want to be thorough with you, and I want to start off by saying, firstly, that I am still learning. As I am doing this, I have been studying astrology now since I was about 13 years old, unjokingly. And I am definitely nowhere near 13 years old anymore. But I am beginning to learn more about the Vedic system. So I like to look at both. So you will indulge me as I look at Western and the traditional, and we look potentially at marriage indicators for both because I have some points from the two of these charts that I think you and I will both find interesting in the long run. I find that these two are actually a good example of how we can use people that already exist to study astrology. So I found some points that I thought we could go over together. So let's just get started. Okay, so let's go. We see I have all my charts from here, a little intense. Don't get intimidated. We're going to start with the traditional Western, just so that you know where we're going. With my handy dandy Apple pencil. My pencil! SpongeBob reference. So, traditional first thing, I'm seeing, we're seeing that Virgo rising. We're seeing that 0 degree Pisces sun. We're seeing that anoretic famous degree Uranus in the 6th house of work. We're seeing a moon sun conjunction, intense, with Mercury, all at these assassin degree, killer be kill degree, Aries Neptunian degree in the 5th house, vertex in the 5th house, assassin Chiron in the 5th house. This chart is riddled, babe. Firstly, 0 degree, very powered degree. Obviously, it is the inseminate degree. That when you hit the 0 degree of any sign, usually that's when the shakeup occurs. You'll notice that that's usually a kind of pivotal. Some astrologers will assert that the 0th degree is the strongest version of the sign that it is currently in, and as it goes through the degrees, it actually becomes more like the next sign until it finally becomes the 0th degree of the next sign again. So I've always considered that to be more true than anything. But to me, 0 degree is still conjunction territory to Aquarius. So I would call this a power degree of Pisces. Jyotish, she would be a Aquarius. So we're getting that there's power in this Pisces. So with that in mind. So that's where sometimes the difference between the two different styles can sometimes feel like a delineation. But if you keep both in mind, it tells a better picture of the whole thing. I really think they should be used together to consider, but we'll keep going. They each teach something different in an interesting way. Okay, let's keep going. Mercury 20th degree, which is that killer be kill scorpionic degree, which, and when I say these degrees are the famous degree, the evil degree, the killer be kill degree, the assassin degree, what I'm referencing is degree theory by Nikolai Stanov. La la la. He's the doctor, mathematician, astrologer who produced that book, that 300-page book that I read cover to cover, which I should do a review of myself just because I think that some things in it are silly, but I do think that he had some truth to the idea that the scorpionic degrees are more noteworthy, usually ending up telling a story about around them. For example, in my own chart, I have Mars at the 20th degree, and I've been a fighter my entire life. I was in several almost killer death situations. And respectfully, with Mars also being sex drive, you can also imagine the situations I was in with that. So sometimes positions of like Mercury say that either she would be particularly aggressive or have abrasive ability within her, whether that's the thought process that is within her is actually quite scorpionic and dark. I'm not sure. I've also heard through the grapevine that she's had some trouble with the guy that was married to Lily Allen, who plays David Harbour. He was another actor in this. He plays like the father and she plays the kid or something. And the two of them famously do not get along from what I'm to understand. So that headbutting between the strong Piscean power and energy, Pisces Scorpio energy that she gives off here, and his all Aries chart would be like Mars, Mars, bow, bow, bow kind of thing. So that makes perfect sense to me. We're seeing Aries degree of Aries Venus. We're seeing that Capricorn degree of Mars in Taurus. So Aries Venus is tough to me because they fall in love just as quickly as they fall out of love. I feel like on a woman, it might be a little better, but she would be very, very quick, hot headed. She would sit down, it would be quick to offense, quick to jump back kind of a situation. And only about that love aspect, because it's so interesting because you get that Piscean outside completely masking the rough love life that she's actually looking for. Like that is a position to me, especially with this Venus, because you look and you see now, well, okay, Venus is in Mars. And where's Mars? In Venus, in that playing across that Sag and Scorpionic house. In the houses of, and I'm going to get to this, in their house positions, I'm going to talk about in a second, but speaks to me with that she likes an obsessive love. She likes a close knit love. And she likes, I don't even want to say like semi abusive, like rough is a better word, like a rough style of love is really like, especially with this Venusian influence. So it's like spending that quality time together, aftercare, all of those other things. But like, this is somebody who, with their husband, like behind closed doors, God bless you. What you do is between you and God. What you and your husband do in your free time is between you and your angels. All of these placements on the sun, moon, sun, Uranus, Mercury, um, all in the sixth house, the bad luck house. Uh, yeah, they're not particularly powered there. I don't know. I don't love the degree. I don't love the placement. Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. When you get those placements together, you get that sun together with that moon, you get that Mercury with that sun. The sun is sort of the ego. It's like what you represent, right? So if you have all these planets that surround the sun takes in the energy from these planets. So we're getting that sun there, and we're also seeing moon with it. So a Cancerian influence. Also seeing the Mercury with it. So a Mercurian, so Gemini, Virgo, like that stalwart influence as well. And also Uranus within 2 degrees at the famous degree in work. So that Aquarius influence as well. Now, mind you, sometimes I like to think of the planets in a way nobody else. And hopefully, when you come to my channel, you expect that I'm going to yap at you. We're going to talk, we're going to chat, we're going to look at these charts, and we're going to posit. What I'm interested in is positing. I want to look at future astrology. I don't want to just retell you what I found out from a YouTube video on that Wednesday from that. I want us together to look at things, to pose things. I'm going to tell you what I found because I found some things, and you're going to tell me what you found, and we're going to meet in the middle. These planets together, Sun, Uranus. I sometimes think when I look at charts, I like to imagine not only the planet's theoretical placement, like what it's dictating, but I like to imagine them as their actual planet equivalent. So, in that way, I say to myself, well, what would be the gravitational energy of the planets in the area? Like, for example, when I see Rahu with Mars in conjunction period, I say to myself, that's a black hole. That's a black hole right there, where Rahu eats the fire of Mars, oh, like continuously. I look at the gravitational pull of Uranus and the sun. Those to me, I like to think, and then Jupiter, and then I look to obviously where Saturn are, is the big two planets, but they don't have anything surrounding them, so they to me don't have as much pull as say like this. This is what I'm positing as an astrologer. This is if I'm being real with you, and I know that some people have found different ways to put this. They say points, systems, values, etc., which I think is true. But I also think if I was to look at gravitational weight of the planets, like what is actually near it, like if you look at this with these two gigantic bodies, and I'm saying planets for sun, which is a bastardization knowing the sun is a star. These bodies, the gravitational pull of these planetary bodies is so much that I like to imagine that that is a particularly active part of the chart. In fact, I like to imagine that when the planets get together like that, the conjunction area gets wider than you might imagine. Because why in my own life have I noticed that when the outer planets have a movement of some sort, something will hit me in like 3 or 4 days before any horoscope might pick up an exacting area. You might have something happen to you, and then eventually it's like, oh, by the way, because I'll be finding myself, I'll be like, yo, today was ass. And all of these planets that are being picked up on in the reports that I'm reading online is not adding up to what kind of day I had. And then 3 days later, you'll find out that it was an outer planet movement actually that occurred that you didn't, it just didn't pop up. So this to me is something that I'm like, when I look at that, I have no choice but to assume that I'm looking as far as 15 degrees in both directions. I would say at least, I would say 10 to 15 in both directions from the planet. Like if I was to put, let me erase this again. If I was to put Uranus, right, over Uranus is here, according to this, then I would posit then it would stretch to here. And if the sun is here, I would posit it would stretch. And then guess what? It hits another planet. And then I would posit it stretches. And then guess what? It hits another planet. And then it stretches. See, that's what I'm saying. Until finally, this whole area becomes an active zone. I imagine, and maybe I am wrong. Shoot me with your big gun. Shoot me with your big gun. After all, I am the village idiot. Okay. And you are on my stupid screamer channel. So you have no choice but to pause it with me and for us to guess together about this. Because if I'm being honest with you, I really think one move in any of this would activate all that. I just have no choice but to believe that that is basically like if you were playing Monopoly, you had bought the block. Now we've looked at the traditional. We've seen she is a Pisces sun. Ooh, artsy. An Aquarius assassin degree moon. Is your mom okay, girl? No, I'm really asking. Is your mom okay? Because why is moon at an assassin degree in a Saturn sign? But Saturn is up here in Cancer at the top of the chart. Was your mommy a dance mom? It's giving dance mom or something. Like it's because why is it also because that's cold. That's, in traditional astrology, they consider 1, 4, 7, and 10 to be your very important parts of your chart because that's the section of your chart that has directional strength. It represents north, south, east, and west. So a position like Saturn in the 10th house, I think it naturally quite likes that position because that is the cap house. In Cancer, though, challenged position regarding parents. Was your mom a stage mom? Like, was nothing ever good enough? Like, what am I? Also, the other idea in traditional astrology is that the sun burns everything that it's near because of the fire aspect, Mars and sun as malefic planets, light malefics, not super malefic, especially if you have a Mars chart, like if your Mars is on your ascendant. In this case, hers is not. Her ascendant leader is Mercury. Mercury is over here in the 6th house. Mercury really likes the 6th house. That's the natural house of Virgo. And also means that you'll be good at communicating with enemies, 20th degree. So she might kill the competition. Ha! Slay, diva. But at the same time, you got the moon here. So getting that really yapper, emotional yapper, very deep spiritual feelings, that Pisces part of, plus this Cancer influence, plus Neptune here. Whoo! That is emotion. That is emotion. And the fog of Mercury and Neptune. Big thoughts. First of all, she could probably be an incredible poet. All of these in the sixth house is a really interesting placement, if you were to ask me. It's like work, but it's also considered a bad placement. I mean, you don't Neptune's aspects to things can be not great either way. I find the same thing about Uranus. A lot of people claim that they're not necessarily bad planets. I guess they're not. But if I'm being honest with you, every time I see a connection, it's not usually just the dinky, cute, artsy version of the planets. If you're getting Neptune, you're getting Neptune. You're getting drugs. You're getting emo. You're getting, mental health challenges. You're getting all of this super powered Neptune anxiety mixed with confusion around why you have anxiety, confusing about working. Maybe it's a good thing she's an actor because that's a really healthy way to get all these out. And I imagine that if she also had a 9 to 5 that was quite stressful, that would be like very intense for someone like this. So I imagine takes in quite a bit from their environment. This is a strong empath energy and meets people with a nervous vibe, is what this version of the chart wants us to hear. But I want to swap over also to the, now that you feel like you got a taste, I want to swap to the Jyotish version, where we can take a look at the traditional placements and potentially also begin to read the D9 chart about the husband, and you can begin to see the points that I was pulling up. So, firstly, big shift when we turn to the Jyotish placement. All of these now, we get that moon anaretic degree Capricorn. So, again, is your mommy okay? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Annie, literally, with that Mercury, though, very nice. Nice. It's giving mommy. Mommy, mommy was a therapist who was emotionally not there for you. That's what it gives. Or mommy was a stage mommy who was busy working while you were out and about. And we get that sun Shatabisha. Is she a Nepo baby? Does she have a Nepo? It's not Moon Shatabisha though. I'd be interested to know if she has a Nepo relative. Shatabisha is usually from, we've learned from like Claire Nocti. That's usually a sign of a Nepoism, but there's also Uranus there is kind of like interesting. Now, in traditional Jyotish astrology, they don't count the outer planets of Pluto and Uranus or Neptune. I still do count them. I think that, to be honest with you, the only reason they don't count them is because they hadn't really discovered them in the sky when the traditional astrology was really began to be studied before Christianity. But now that we understand that they're all there, like the placements absolutely do, in my opinion, make a difference. And I will prove that when I switch to her D9 chart. You will see that it does matter. Even here, I think I think the planetary placement does matter, and I will make a proving for that in this video, just in this case. And hopefully, if I find others, I'll go and I'll add more, and then I'll just edit the whole thing together to be like approving of the D9 chart theory. And I'll tell you what I have. I got you. Here, let's just look to this for now. In her eighth house, the eighth house being the house that supports the seventh house of marriage, the first marriage, seventh house being first marriage, we see Venus. So we not only do not have any bad theoretical planets in the seventh house. In fact, it's good. Saturn is ruling the seventh house, which you might think could be a bad sign. In this case, it's not. It just means that Saturn rewards long-term efforts and placements. So a placement like that in the seventh house, it can be troubled. Yes, it can. Aquarius can point at a potential divorce in the future, sure, but also can point at the lasting ability of a partnership that already particularly exists, especially if in the eighth house, which supports the seventh house of the first marriage, is Venus. So the thing that supports, because eighth house is not only death, sex, taxes, and also other people's money, inheritance, all of those things, in-laws, the Bongiovis, in-laws, clock it, in Pisces, artist, clock it. In marriage at the 19th degree. See, I think degree theory counts for, I think you can look at it for anything. But if I was to say this is the 19th, that's literally the 7th. That's Libra, which is the marriage degree. Venus, Pisces, 8th house in Ravati. Ravati can be quite emotional, but that's nice. It can be a melding of souls too. That can be nice. Yeah, because if you see a malefic planet in the 8th house, usually that can point at a marriage or like a dissolution of a original marriage eventually. because of the influence on the first house. And also then you would look 7 to the 8th house to see the next marriage. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You go to the second house, becomes the ruler of the second marriage. Second house ruler, no planets inside, just Mercury. Mercury in the 6th house. Ouch. But actually, Mercury, like, even though, because the 6th house is considered bad, but Mercury likes the placement, is Virgo placement with the moon. That can be quite good. But the sun, again, the sun burns up things that it's around. It's a light malefic. Now, again, they don't count Uranus and Neptune, but it feels kind of silly to not point out that Uranus is there too, and so is Neptune. So feels a little intense, like a second marriage might be. And then you look to the 3rd house, which is the supporter of the second marriage. It's like the 8th house to the 7th house is the 3rd house to the second. So the supporter to the second house marriage is the 3rd house, where you have K2. K2 in the 3rd house. Another malefic. Another malefic can be a leaving of a partnership, again, especially in Libra. But sometimes K2 in the 3rd, people would argue, is an okay placement because it puts Rahu in the 9th. But Rahu in the 9th, especially with Mars, in a powered Mars, um, that's quite intense. That's a lot of malefic energy for Rahu. Rahu continuously consumes whatever it's on, so it's more and more and more. Now, I see this a lot in the charts of big performers. Charlie XCX has this placement. Pretty sure both of the Nepo babies I covered, the Beckhams, have North Node Mars in each other's charts. Like, you see this one a lot, and a lot, especially in self-sustaining charts. But honestly, North Node in the 9th house is a search for higher knowledge, more higher learning, more religion, teachers. It's like a never-ending energy in that direction, with Mars all being in its own sign, spreading across the 8th and 9th. This is a very lucky chart also, with this Jupiter in a life sign, Leo, in this great trine to these placements as well, sort of light leading, giving that the point is to explore her body and herself. North Node, 21, Sag. Yeah, more exploration. The point is exploration. And a Cancer degree Mars, according to this. In Baharani. Oh, and you know what Baharani is? Baharani is the leader of the underworld. Has to do with like Orpheus and Eurydice, sex clubs, part of my language, but we're both we're adults here, right? Also like burlesque themes, having to be saved. She might end up in like movies where she's having to do that, like giving like Tomb Raider, or like playing like Eurydice, and Orpheus has to come down and like take her out of whatever situation she's in. Like, I don't know if she's like a prostitute, or if she's like a sex worker, or if she's a dancer, or if she is dad. I don't know what the situation is that she needs to be saved. Maybe she's like a princess that just needs to be shaved. But Baharani is that placement with Mars there. It's kind of like, that's what she's really good at, doing that placement. Jupiter trine. You'll get a lot of roles like that. You're going to be seen as that a lot, especially in the higher realms. Ninth house being like an expert at it, really good at it. So she could end up being like Angelina Jolie, like Tomb Raider, or like Save Me, like a damsel mix kind of vibe. Like, that's really what that gives. Something interesting there. All right, let's go to the D9 chart, and I'm going to get to my point for this video. Okay, so I just want to point something out, right? Okay, here we go. This is my point. You waited this long. It's 30 minutes, and let's go. Her 7th house, this is her D9 chart, D9 Navamsa. Okay, now, no, I do not have it. Traditionally, it is shown in like a box with all of them shown with the directions like so, and you get that like 1st house, 2nd house, as it looks kind of like that. Yeah. Okay, I'm really butchering it, but I just like the circle version of it. But it's like, whose line is it anyway? The points don't matter. The houses matter in Navamsa. The like positioning of like ascendant and descendant in this case is not, everything is whole sign is what they want you to believe in Navamsa. Yeah, I have it in whole sign, because if not, it would start the ascendancy here. So okay, so we're seeing that 7th house lord is Pisces. Okay, now traditional Indian Vedic astrology will tell you that Pisces chart ruler is Jupiter. I would like to posit to you today that in actuality, it is both Jupiter and Neptune. They are tied, and it does make a difference. And I'm going to show you why. I don't think it is a coinkydink that things played out the way they played out in these two charts, okay? As a married couple. Her seventh house of the first marriage. Do I look like I'm joking? Her seventh house of the first marriage. She has placements in Purnavasu from Pisces because it's ruled by Pisces and Svati. Let's go to his D9 chart, shall we? Let's go ahead and scroll down. Oh, look. Purnavasu. And what did we say the other one was? Svati. And he has a Vishaka in the next nakshatra within a 10-degree radius. It's there. Are you seeing my point? It is exact. Now, I don't have his ascendant and descendant, so I can't point to what his seventh house is. But I thought that that alone was staggering enough to make an argument that the outer planets should absolutely be at least looked at in these D9 Navamsa charts because they're more predictory than you might originally anticipate. All right, let's look at his charts individually, shall we? So now we can go ahead and take a look at his chart. Traditional, this is Western. He is a Taurus sun and a Pisces moon. And isn't that beautiful? Isn't that nice? And a Gemini, Venus. Let's look at the placement. It's at the Cancer degree. So we're getting that water energy. Cancer degree sun. Moon at the Aquarius degree. Does he sound like anyone we know with a Aquarius moon with a Neptune conjunction? Mercury, 7th degree of Libra, so communication and affair style in the dominant house of Mercury. I'm sorry, placement, sign of Mercury. Venus at the Venus degree, so powered Venus. And Venus again is in Mercury, and Mercury is an own sign. Really great. Mars, same exact thing. Mars is in Mercury, Mercury is an own sign. So this is somebody who is like giving yapper baby. What is all this Gemini? He probably plays guitar. Because that's a placement that, oh my God, you got to be good at some things. That's someone who has some hobbies, Diva. And then this Cancer, Mars, and this Jupiter, power Jupiter in Cancer, which everyone swears Jupiter Cancer is the height. I don't think it's the height in Western astrology. I think Jupiter Cancer is the height in Ayurvedic astrology, like in Indian, in Jyotish, I think it is. I don't think it is here because this becomes Gemini. And we're in that year right now, and this year's ass. This year's been ass. So I don't really know how you can say that. I'm going to assume that it's the next year. That it's when to us, Jupiter is in Leo. That things really get lit. Because you have to consider Leo and Cancer together. Jupiter loves both placements. So now we going in. Versus Jupiter in Gemini and Cancer as an option. Again, I tell you, I like to look at both, and I think that both energies matter. Like, are we doing Gemini Cancer or are we doing Cancer Leo? Huge difference. Because Jupiter in Cancer is the height, but Jupiter in Mercury is the low because the height of it is Sag across the way. So, no. We're also getting North Node here at the 19th degree. Must be married. That is the Libra degree. There it is again. There that degree is again. Ooh, with a Lilith moon. Anoretic degree, Lilith moon. And the Cancer degree. There's more here. The two of them are going to come into more trouble when they're parents. I can't explain this now. The marriage is going to sail exactly as intended for a while. Her 5th house with Chiron there, plus all these Cancerian signs. She has a Saturn in Cancer. Lead me have no choice but to believe that there will be many, many life lessons in the raising of their children or the being a parent. Let's instead go to his D9 chart to prove the point, again, that I already made. Now, I tried using the same logic that we just did between the two charts, knowing where her sun in this placement, Jesta, and here she has moon and ascendant Hasta. Now, I've read online the assumptions that moon is in the ascendancy placement of your future spouse in the D9. And I've seen some truth to that. But in this case, she has it in her own chart, which makes me kind of sus. Like, oh, okay. So unless they had a same sign ascendancy at the same degree, D9 chart splits things within minutes because the D9 Navamsa chart chops up the D9 chart as an explanation to the theory is basically what would happen if you took this big chart, the big main chart, and you split each section into baby sections of 9, like that. It's insane. And the idea is that it cuts you, each of those sections has an attachment to one of the signs as well. And all of those will stick you to this D9 chart, which will give you the energy of each planet individually. So you're getting that she's got this Scorpio sun placement vibe, even though she's a, as we learned, Western Pisces, as we learned over here. We're getting that Western Pisces, but actually, according to Indian astrology, Jyotish, it is actually Aquarius. So she is a Scorpionic Aquarius. Okay. So with that in mind, knowing what we know now, she's a Scorpio and moon Hasta and rising Hasta, going to the ninth house, sorry, the D9 house chart for him. I tried to see if there were any similar placements that could depict where her placements are. So we know she had that Giesta. So closest thing we're seeing here is Uranus, and she had Hasta. And she has nothing here. He has nothing in Virgo. So maybe he has a rising here, and we're just not seeing that. But if her ascendancy was there too, you would see the moon sign there. Instead, he has moon over here at Purnavasu. So let's look. So it leads me to believe with the only placement being Uranus, closest to what his first house, first wife placement is, it kind of leaves me no choice but to believe that the descendancy for him is Aquarius, which leads me to believe he would be a Virgo or Leo rising. But that's an assumption. In addition to her husband indicator being Neptune in this chart, in the D9 chart, we are understanding that on these placements, basically hereish, is Eros as well. So this like fantasy, like sexual, like speaking element here that's quite magical. I imagine that's quite beautiful in her, whether it's self or in her partnership, the way she expresses herself. That's the Taurian degree. The 20th degree of Freya and the 22nd degree of to kill or be killed, like the assassin degree on Frigga of motherhood. Again, this is what I'm talking about when I say that there's aspects here that I'm concerned about what the future might show. That this is in the middle of here is like an assassin degree in the money house in motherhood. I wonder if something's going to happen that might rob them monetarily or something. Groom at the Capricorn degree on the IC, really lovely. That's also giving the husband is at home vibes instead of he's the furthest from the outside, which makes sense because her husband is like not well known at all, despite being a famous person. She has the wife Hera on her part of fortune, so expansion of that marriage partnership and family feeling from her. So marriage is just she's going to continue to be the wife. We're getting that full wife Hera, but Hera sometimes on that placement is expansion of Hera, and you got to remember that Hera and Zeus were cheaters. So sometimes I kind of wonder if that is like an aggravating placement as opposed to an easing placement. Like while motherhood might be amazing, you might be like the beautiful wife and caring, like you literally are the best host. You might also have all these other things. The hot mom, yeah, hot wife, hot mom kind of energy for sure. Again, with this Isis at the 15th degree, so I'm sorry, 17th degree, which is Leo of motherhood, caregiving, and nurturing on the ascendancy. So really like the stage mom, expansion of the stage mom with marriage because they're all together. Motherhood and marriage will be evident on her person. She is definitely like it's giving wife energy. That makes sense as to why she got married so young. All these placements sitting right there make sense to me. And in addition, she also has make right there on those placements. So these are all sitting at the most obvious part of her chart, like there-ish. Through here is make, which makes money, obviously, Hera, and also Isis. Just also psychic, that's a psychic placement as well. So she has a psychic appearance in addition, the psychic mother, the nurturing mother. And that's also that Pisces influence too, because that Piscean sign is almost on the opposite end in the Virgo house. So you're getting that double activation of because you're getting that spiritual energy hidden away but it's in the house of open enemies. So I have to imagine she's quite argumentative, actually. She has quite an ego, is quite ego driven. But the truth is that she fights for good. So she believes her to be in the right. So she believes she wields her power for good kind of energy. All of these magical placements that show an aspect clearly of psychicism and strong wording. She might be a poet in her free time. I'd be really interested to read what she has written. Yeah, past life craftsmanship, skill, and ingenuity. Ooh, in marriage in Scorpio. So bringing that past life marriage energy, that obsession, past life energy into the new life, especially because that would traditionally be Libra in Jyotish. Poetry, hymns, and spiritual expression. There's going to be more kind of spiritual things she has yet to share with us, for sure, with all these placements. Angel on her Chiron, guardianship, protection, and guidance in the fifth house, comedy, joy, and creativity in the fifth house, memory, creativity, and harmony, all in Chiron. So the children will have struggled issues with these and will have no choice but to try healing themselves. What is this ruled by 15th degree Capricorn? And is in Cancer, yeah, at the 22nd assassin degree. Now, I don't want to say that that means one of her future children will be assassinated, but I don't love that degree. That is the to be killed degree, and in the fifth house. So could be like maybe she's previously that we don't know of have had like obviously an abortion or anything to that. I mean, imagine that can be any of those things, but also ruled by Saturn, and Saturn being at the 10th house is very public. These are kind of themes that repeat through life, though. So I kind of, if I could speak to her, I would love to know how that has manifested in her life, whether that's a wound that has shown up in other ways or what. I would be very interested to know because that's upheaval. And and pulls in Saturn in Cancer at the top of the chart. Saturn at the 6th degree of Virgo, which is also health. So it could also be health of the children. So I'd be interested to see how that plays out. So I feel like I did everything and I did absolutely nothing at the same time because I guess I could mention some of their charts here. He is a Sun square Neptune. I hate that. So stay away from drugs, kids. Probably had some trouble also surrounding feeling like an outsider, being the outside one looking in, especially surrounded by so much fame in his life. I imagine that the distance between him and potential for himself versus what his parents have built is quite far. But these great placements at the bottom of the chart are nice. Even if we have Saturn here, it kind of confuses me because he did not get married in his Saturn return. I think their Saturn returns are going to be quite intense. Her Saturn return is after his too, so he will go through it first. Saturn conjunction Venus at the exact degree. I don't. Oh my god, maybe I accidentally just stumbled upon something. Did I just stumble upon the future? Did I just accidentally predict their future, Loki? Because it's her first marriage. Oh, I see. So this is her first marriage, but then the second marriage has Jupiter with. Oh, but he has that too. He has displacement. I guess someone else could. Rahu there. Gotta look to Rahu and Venus. Venus and Purvashada with Chiron and Uranus. And the third house of the second marriage has the Sun conjunction part of fortune in Jessa in the anaretic degrees, the 29th degree. She will gain a lot from marriages either way. Yeah, she could get remarried. Yeah, it could be someone quite similar. I don't know though. This placement indicates him, but it doesn't. They might get married a second time. Oh my god, maybe that's it. That could be interesting. Like if they get married and then like some people avoid the like curse of the second house. Yeah, this eighth house. Uh Ketu there literally usually is divorce. Um, especially because I can't ignore Pluto there. But sometimes you can circumvent that by getting married a second time. Some astrologers will tell you that like you avoid the issue of a potential second marriage being written in your chart just by getting married a second time. So that could be what that is. And the second marriage maybe brings them even more money in their marriage. But this could also be that she ends up marrying someone wealthy, secondly. Because Venus, the ruler of the second house in this case is Venus, and Venus is in the fourth house where it really likes to be, but it is conjunct Chiron and Uranus. And the third house, which again sustains the second house, has the sun. So if she were to get married a third time, what would that theoretically look like? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Venus again. We're getting that same thing again. So the second marriage might be the final marriage. I feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. I might be crazy. Yeah, I might be crazy. Because why is it also retrograde? Because why is Saturn? I might be crazy. Yeah, I might be crazy. Also in the fifth house, because ruler of the seventh house is in the fifth house of short-term fun and engagements. Yeah, I might be crazy. Yeah, because here's her seventh, Svati Pranavasu. And over here, we get that Vishaka Pranavasu, first marriage. So if I were to assume his first marriage was, as we assumed, Uranus, and I put this in first, so this is in seventh, putting Saturn also in that Pusha cluster, that Pranavasu Pusha cluster. Actually, the height of Saturn is Pusha. So actually, it loves to be there. That's a very strong placement. That's like very powerful. With Venus is interesting. Actually, I might really like that placement. Might be the wife that grows into, starts as a boy. Ironically, Pusha can indicate the child who, like the wife, I feel like, who starts as a boy and grows into this birthing flower, especially with Venus here and the moon. And didn't she play? Wasn't like 11 mistaken to be a boy at some point because the buzz cut? That would make perfect sense to me. I have no choice. I'm going to assume this is the seventh house. Pluto, Jupiter, North Node in sixth of open enemies, and Saturn in fifth, and Pluto in his fifth. I don't know. They're giving birth to children is going to be, I don't know. The children are going to be troubled. The assumption. Oh, actually, wait. Pluto is in sixth. Uh-oh. I hope y'all don't gain like a open stalker. What if he has North Node, Rahu in seventh? That's also a sign potentially of divorce. But we have, in that case, Jupiter, Guru, in eighth, and he can actually be quite soothing to the marriage, but can also sometimes indicate multiple marriages. Again, just because Jupiter brings a great many of things. Now, he'll benefit greatly from marriage, from in laws will love him. He will get a lot of money from in laws' situation with marriage. Other people's money will increase with them with marriage. But Jupiter is a great expander. It just means multiple of this thing. Oh, look, how stupid am I? How fucking dumb am I? Yeah. I'm also concerned though about that degree. I'm still concerned, girl. Just keep an eye on that. It's Chiron conjunction. I hate that. In Capricorn, please, please don't let that be anything crazy. In the fifth house of children, that's Saturn's life lessons. And he has Jupiter there on her Saturn, which is many life lessons. So I'm begging you. And while it brings fortune, these two together can ease each other in a way because it can bring fortune like Guru, Lilith on Venus. I'm telling you, there is potential for divorce in the future just because Lilith is like a public breakaway and MC at the most public part of their chart on her MC. Like she is known for this Lilithian energy, which, yes, she absolutely is. We've seen that already, whether it be like a buzz cut fighter vibe, like breakaway girl who's defeating evil. Like, yeah, that's all here. But also low key, so is his love. Like, and people will tell you that placements on a Lilith is quite activating because Venus can soothe Lilith for sure, but Saturn is structure and boundaries, and structure and boundaries and Lilith does not like chains. So while Venus can create like loving chains, and Mercury can help ease it as well because they could talk about it, you also have North Node and Mars here. They both have North Node Mars in their own charts. He has his moon in her seventh house, filling out that really lovely husband placement. But again, we get that Lilith in that place. North Node with the Sun and Mars. Remember what I said earlier about thinking about the planetary pull of the planets involved? That's a black hole to me because the sun's energy with Mars doubles fire malefic in Venus's sign, and Venus is over here in a sign she also doesn't like, sitting at the top of the chart, not a very warm placement, um, with Rahu. Now, Rahu and Venus like each other, they can be a good combination, but in Mercury sign, it's like that's a really not easily conquered energy, especially with Mars and with Saturn here. I have no choice but to consider this potentially maybe a story that when their Saturn return comes, something might occur that makes things too big for them to be able to stand on. So they have some this could be now, of course, this could all play out publicly. Like this could be something that it's just like he brings her more jobs and things and places to go and people to meet and things to see in their age. But with Saturn here and then both not even in their Saturn return, I have no choice but to imagine it's going to activate all of these placements because they have not reached their maturity age yet. And I am concerned that they have directional strength in her chart because of the placements. And Lilith there is very activating because the person who has the Lilith on the other placements has the potentiality to run away. Are you seeing what I'm circling? And leave the other person in the lurch, especially with this malefic energy with nothing to soothe it. Now, I will also say that in the charts of public people, I literally one day in my life stood out with a friend of mine in the streets of New York City with a sign that said, "Have you been in a 10-year plus relationship? I want to talk to you." And we interviewed, I would say 30 couples. And out of those 30 couples, I would say 22 had, maybe 23, 24, had either a sun or moon on the other's north node or south node. I don't know. I don't make the rules. I just tell you what I found. I had found that in most of those couples, in the real couples, married couples, they had a sun or moon placement on their north, on each other's north node or south node. They didn't both have to have it. Just one of them had to have it. It was better when they both had it. There was a few couples that both had either a sun or moon on the south node, on the south node or north node, but uh, that was what I found. Now they do fill that requirement. We do see that here. His chart actually fills itself out with all of these placements in Rahu. I don't really, I mean, a moon here, I'm sure could ease the situation from her. Oh, look, see, she has moon here and it is easing the situation. How beautiful is that? So that's perfect. We change the color placement, which that's great. We're seeing that. We're seeing that all of these are actually this, they ease each other. Oh, Neptune, no. Ooh, that's also a black hole in the, oh, Pluto, south node. A previous life energy of transformation and wounding. I don't love that. Double Pluto, double Neptune. Now they're sextile. That can be good. The degrees, 17th degree, that's Cancer. 17th degree and the 21st degree, lucky parent maybe? Because 21st degree is good. That's luck. That's luck. South node though, 19th. That's marriage. So previous life marriage, transformation through marriage. I wonder if something happened. I wonder if something bad happened to them in a previous life. It's like giving like in Sag. It's like giving like y'all were on a plane flight together and it went down or something. And now you're being blessed in this lifetime. But these are all traditional bad placements because it's sixth house from her. But and because he has Uranus here too. Uranus, Neptune. Ah, all in the sixth house. Now, in traditional Jyotish astrology, I know, topic of the day, this sixth house would also be stressing the seventh house. The houses to the left and right do affect the house in question. So I wonder how much malefic energy in such close proximity to the descendancy in the house of open enemies is going, especially with these. Neptune is not a soothing placement. It is not. Now, while all of this is well affected to her own personal MCs, will do great for her job. The publicity is killer. The aspect of overhaul is rampant through these charts. And look, is square Pluto. What about Saturn? His Saturn is at the top of the chart. Her moon is trine, like 5 degrees. His Mercury, though, is square everything. I wonder if they didn't like each other when they first met. Square sun, square moon, square own Mercury. Where is her Saturn? Oh, right there. Square his Venus. Or no, square own Venus. Square own Venus. Oh, no way. Their Saturn return is going to rock them. Oh, I'm sorry. Your Saturn return is going to rock your shit. Oh my God, bro. This is riddled. This is riddled. This could even be like y'all break up and get back together for the second marriage. Maybe that's what the Jupiter influence is. It's like multiple of the same marriage. I don't know, fam. Her personal Jupiter, square, square Venus, square Saturn. They have it more boundaries, explosion of boundaries with all of these boundary love is the way he works. He must be anxious. He must be very anxious. And she must be fine with over explaining that information. But she doesn't have, I guess she does have this Mercury energy because all of this is in a Mercury house. And she has this ascendancy that rules all of this with Mercury there. So I guess that's fair game. But they are truly this, it's giving Gemini Virgo in love. I guess they're yappers in love, real yappers. But she has an element where she likes it rough too. Grand trine to Pluto, intense, very intense. Neptune with vertex. vertex in Aquarius square sun. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. He will blink. There will be a point where this relationship becomes make or break, and I'm guaranteeing it's in this Saturn return because this Saturn return is riddled all over. It's powered in both of their charts, and hers is retrograde, which makes me think the lessons are going to be a mess. And his is amidst all these placements that control him, which with the North Node there, which also means that the point is to discover all of these things, which means he hasn't done it. Where's her North Node? Oh, on his sun. So she needs to become more like him. That will work. That will work in their favor. But with so much malefic energy here, because you get that Mars sun while she's attracted to him. One wrong fight. One wrong fight. I bet you this would be a yod. One wrong fight between the two of them from this past life triggering energy will activate all of these other energies because that Lilith in the seventh with Moon, it couldn't have just been Moon. That Lilith seventh, I don't know, but Venus is here. But Aries, you know that shit blink on and off. And her Mars is with Rahu in the blinker sign. We'll see. We'll see. I would predict that they last until the Saturn return, and then there might be shaky energy. But she will be a consistent wife type through her life. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the yod. Look, there it is. Bow. A weird relationship. A strained relationship. Yep, weird. A weird relationship to fortune and to him. It could be a project she's on, maybe activates this, skews this, something he does. A yod to south node. Lilith yod south node. Breaking away from like a previous life energy of breaking away. Because this is eclipse. Rahu and the sun is an eclipse. She will be a determining factor. I want to look to those asteroids that I pulled again because I remember some of those asteroids I was concerned. Indulgence, celebration, and excess. Passion, seduction, and attraction. That's Leo degree. Dejanera, right there as well. Oh no, okay, in Aries. Fire, passion, sexuality. Yeah, they definitely cranking it up behind the scenes. Oh yeah, these Venus conjunctions. Pride, hubris, and the potential for downfall. Libra degree, that's the marriage. Reckless ambition, pride, and the potential for downfall. Leo degree, conjunct Venus. That's all again in the 8th and 7th house. North node, Sedna. Holy shit, I didn't see this. Our deepest fears, insecurities, and blocks. Sedna is rough. So she has North node Sedna here is like suffering or like being made to fall. That can be quite a tough, difficult placement. An insecurity, a block, a problem. Anoretic degree Toro. Oh, and on the descendancy, I thought this was interesting. She has a asteroid Voskovic Werich at the descendancy of Pisces. And I thought this was interesting. He actually has that placement as well in a relevant placement. He has on his south node. There's that south node, that past life energy. It would be like here-ish, I guess, right in between these two. And that's on her descendancy, and it's describing her past life energy, which I think is quite interesting.
Hi everyone, it's me again, and I just thought really quick I would jump on here and point out this 15-degree Gemini placement, which in degree theory is mentioned by Nikola Stanislav, whatever, and it is mentioned specifically as a placement that he sees over and over again, that specific degree of Gemini, as a placement indicating vehicular issues, specifically getting into accidents in traffic, and with all of those placements on it, kind of makes me concerned, like, is his future to get in a traffic accident or something I felt I had to mention? It would be bad of me if I didn't mention.
North node, Rockefeller, power, wealth, and influence. That will all come with his Saturn return. Michelangelo on his moon. Again, discipline, focus, precision. We're seeing all these amazing like Saturnian qualities he will develop. Venus, Mars there, all that with time. Spiritual connection, transformation, healing, and rebirth. I think he needs something to heal from, if you catch my drift. That's also Raphael. I think it's interesting. He has these archangel. Is he Catholic? They must be Catholic because these archangel placements are powered and square, mind you. Nourishment and abundance, luck, fortune, and success on all these amazing placements up there. Fortune at the top. Independence, freedom, and self protection alongside this past life energy of partnership, protection, boundaries, and the balance of power, communication, reflection, and the power of words. I think that they will. Oh, 5th degree karma, Leo degree. The consequences, that's also the considered erotic degree. The consequences of past actions and the lessons of cause and effect in Saturn. That's the 7th house. And he'd all go with the 7th house in the 7th house. Independence, nonconformity, and the pursuit of individuality. I really believe they will get into like a fight of some sort, like a verbal fight. Nice. Hidden knowledge and wisdom, as well as potential for isolation and attachment. Discord, chaos, and rebellion in Aries at the 20th degree, which is the killer be killed degree, which I'm pretty sure is also. Oh, look, Nemesis in Libra at the power degree of your marriage, literally the most important degree, retribution, balance, and karma. Narcissus, the killer be killed degree, self-love, self-image, and the balance between inner and outer worlds. Medusa in Virgo, which is the mother. We understand the metaphor there, cycles of destruction and rebirth, as well as the shadow aspects of herself in the 20th degree, which I'm pretty sure is where her Venus is. Oh yeah, that's right. It's this one. Yep. So it's conjunct her Venus right there on a Chiron wound. Beauty, harmony, and creativity. I wonder what their daughter's name is, because I would be very interested to see what that means. Why is this the assassin's degree? Why is it on the assassin degree? What does that mean? I'm interested. Again, with this, we're getting that the spiritual placements, creativity, craftsmanship, and artistry. So they will develop each other a lot through marriage. And Nessus Chiron, manipulation, abuse, and trauma in the fifth house of children. That's actually Taurus. So the female, this is like female, could also be mother, could also be again be mother. And look, another at the same degree. That's a power degree. There's so much there. Yeah, passion, seduction, and attraction. Casanova on Pluto. Dejanira, the relationship, partnerships, and union. This same placement. Wait, so actually this Aries placement is powered. She actually has Dejanira here, which is suffering. And remember, he has North Node conjunct Venus, so you got to look where these placements are in their charts, the way they play out. Dejanira, Aphrodite at the 20th degree, the killer be killed degree, and reckless ambition, pride, and the potential for downfall, all here back to back. And he has Eris, which is the goddess of mayhem, discord, and rebellion, at the same degree that she has Aphrodite. They have Eris and Aphrodite on each other. That feels weird. Ah, Eris. I don't know. That's all, mind you, in the eighth house. The suffering behind closed doors, chaos behind closed doors, but also the beautiful wife behind, and it's all conjunct Venus. And mind you, his North Node is with Venus as well. So you have to look to all of these placements. And her North Node is in a Venusian sign. So I have no choice but to assume that this is headed towards what's all headed towards, because she also doesn't have anything on this North Node. He has placements on this North Node of mastery and crafting, but she doesn't. So I have no choice but to believe these are the themes that will play out over the course of their relationship. Suffering and wounding behind closed doors. We'll see. Anyway, that's been all from me. Thank you for watching. I've been the Village Idiot. Hopefully you potentially learned something, or we potentially looked at D9 stuff that I will continue to look at now that we've taken a look and seen that we can maybe pre-predict some placements from the future partner. Maybe. We'll see. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a like or a comment telling me that you enjoyed or that I'm crazy. And please don't sue me. I don't know what I'm talking about. If you think that I'm a moron, please feel free to let me know. I would love to read it. I love to learn. I love to learn why I'm a moron. I love to learn more things. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know. All right. Thank you so much. I've been the Village Idiot, and I'll be screaming into the void if you need me. Bye.